Alrighty guys, how's it going out there? Rooster and 10, roostercb.com. This is going to be an educational demonstration video for not only the customer involved with this, but hopefully for everybody that takes time to watch this video. And now this is going to be something that I have harped on a lot in the past, and this video will serve to kind of prove a point about that, I guess. What we've got is a Carl built 600 HD with, of course, AM and sideband. And this was sold to a customer. We're not going to mention his name because he's been a nice guy. I'm not trying to throw him under the bus or anything. But it was sold to him, and when he got it, he claimed he encountered an issue that when he would key his mic on his radio, the SWR on the radio would show perfect, but when he modulated into it, he would get a high SWR. Okay, and the radio would shut down effectively. It would go into SWR protection. Now, I can only speculate on what type of radio it is. I would guess a Striker 655, probably a 955 since he asked for sideband, which they're notorious for doing this. You don't always have to have a SWR issue. Matter of fact, more times than not, there is no SWR issue, and for whatever reason, those radios will shut down. I have beat this into the ground, kicked the dead horse in the past on this. Two things you guys can trust: check SWR. SWR antenna analyzer and a bird meter that checks reflect, or any other accurate meter that actively checks reflected power. Those are the only two things that you can really trust. If you go outside of that, then you're on your own. Okay, so here's our setup for the day. Here's the test we're going to do. We've got our amplifier here. Output's going to be our back watt meter there against the wall. That's my 43P that you guys have seen a million times. Over here, we have an additional bird meter in line, and you guys can see that line section on the other side of my microphone. That is going in between the 447 and the Carl built. That is going to check the reflected power coming back to the 447 to make sure we don't have a high input SWR. And I'll give you guys a close-up on all this as we do the video. That way you can kind of see everything. I know it's a little bit jumbled up back there, but you guys will kind of see how everything's running. So this meter is going to check our input SWR. It has a 10 watt slug in it facing back towards the radio. The meter by the wall has a 1,000 watt slug in it. It's going to check output power. And then, of course, we will double check the SWR on the front of the radio. Okay, I do not trust this. I do not trust the SWR reading on the front of these radios, but for the sake of the video, we'll take a look at it and see what it says and compare it to the bird meter. Even if it says a low SWR, I still don't trust it, okay? Bird meter, antenna analyzer. And lastly, we will, of course, check the reading on our good faithful clamp meter. So with that being said, let me pause, dismount the camera, and we're going to get an up close on all this stuff and start on with the test here. All right, we'll be right back. Okay guys, so here we are. We're up close and personal with this setup. We're at 15 volts flat. Clamp meter is turned on, I guess. Yep, it's turned on. Here's our 6-pill. We've got it hooked up back here. Just got our ground clamped to the back of it. Our output coax goes to that meter. And then we've got our input coax that comes over here to this line section. And then our line section has a 10 watt slug in it, if you guys can see that. And it is facing the radio, which this jumper here comes around, round, and goes into our radio, okay? So this is going to be our meter that reads reflected power or input SWR. This is the SWR that your radio sees, okay? For every time you have a break in your coax run, there is a chance that you can have an SWR jump up, okay? When it comes to amplifiers, you can have there's two different SWR ratings people look at. One is the bypass tone, which is the input tone of the amp when it's not being keyed up, when the relay is not being activated. And then you have the input tone when the amplifier is actively being used, and that's going to be the SWR on the input side, okay? So if we have lots of reflect coming back to our 447, then we have a high input SWR. We have an input problem, okay? Let's check it. First thing we're going to do, we're going to check it. Night gain's wide open. RF power is at like 7 o'clock here. Matter of fact, let's see how much power we're doing. Hello, audio. It's 1,000-watt slug. So, audio. It's doing about 60 watts average. Hello, audio. And on this one, it's showing about 160 or so PEP. All right. That's probably a little bit high, 1,000-watt slug. But let's just check it. And the first thing, for those that trust the SWR reading on the radio, let's just see what it says. 1.0. Hello. It doesn't even move. Hello. All right. 10-watt slug in reflect. Bottom scale. Hello. It's like 1/4 of a watt. Hello. Okay. 220 would be 2 watts. 40 would be 4 watts. Hello, audio. So, pretty much a flat input SWR. All right. Big test coming up. Let's see what it does with the amplifier turned on. I guess we can check the output on it first. Let's see, make sure we're not dead keying too much or anything. 1,000-watt slug, bottom scale. Hello, audio. Hello, audio. Over 400 average, and we're kind of cruising this 6-pill. It could definitely use more drive. But, hello, audio. Over 1,000 pp. To the wall. Alrighty, let's see what happens here, guys. Let's check our radio first. Go ahead and key it up. You saw we had about 100-watt dead key. 1.1. Alright, so the customer says when he modulates into it, it puts his radio into protection mode. So far, everything has lined out. We have a good SWR when we key up. Let's see what happens when we actually modulate into it. Hello. Audio. Just so you guys can see the watt meter moving in the background. Okay. A lot of guys, they'll try to trick you and they'll turn their mic gain all the way down when the camera's not looking, and they'll be audioing into the mic, and it's like, damn, perfect input SWR. And that's because you're not doing any power. But hello, audio. I mean, this thing it's flat according to the radio. But you know what I say? I say, I don't give a shit what this says. I want to see what the bird meter says. All right, what's the bird meter say? Hello. All right, can you guys see both watt meters at one time? Hello, audio. Hello, audio. So 400 average out and 1/4 of a watt coming back. That's according to the bird. Again, 10-watt slug and reflect, 1,000-watt slug and output. Here's our clamp meter. Hello, audio. That's just cruising at 65 amps. All right, guys. I don't really know what else to say about this. Obviously, you guys be the judge about the amp. I mean, that's about as good as it gets, really. I mean, you're not going to get a better tune, really, on an input tune on amp than this. I hate it for the customer because I know that in his mind, he thinks that everything's set up right on his end and that there's something wrong with this amp. He has obviously convinced himself that there's something wrong with this amp because it was putting his radio into SWR protection mode. But there's no hidden anything that I could do in this video to hide it from you guys. I mean, there's your jumper going to the line section. There's your jumper from the line section to the input of the amp. And there's your coax from the output of the amp to the meter. 1,000-watt slug, if you guys can see. 10-watt slug on the reflect. Bird meter here. You know, that's about all I can do as far as testing the amp goes. And like I said, I don't think you're going to get much better than that on a input tune on a transistor amp. Bypass tune is essentially perfect. Input tune is essentially perfect. And that's it. So we will see what the customer wants to do. You know, I may give people the option to have a video done like this in the future, but it will come with a charge, okay? I'm not going to do, a free video like this for every amplifier that I sell. There's just not enough money in the amps, guys. I mean, I'm not going to get on a soapbox about it here, but nobody's making big money off these. Unless you're selling a ton of them, you're not making money off transistor amps. It's just another thing to carry to sell people, I mean. So, if I was making $500 on every one of these amps I sold, maybe I would, wouldn't mind doing videos like this and dealing with the returns and all that stuff, but there's really not a lot of money to be made on them. All right. So that's it, guys. Let me know what you think. Customer can let me know what he thinks about it. I've already told him, he can get the amp back if he wants to pay for the shipping to get it back, or if he doesn't want it. It's a perfectly good amp, but it will come with a restocking fee if I have to take it back. That is why all amplifier sales, and I do make exceptions every now and again, but I have a policy that all amp sales are final. Okay, it's because of stuff like this, and I'm not mad at this customer about this. I mean, like I said, it's in his mind, he believes that there's something wrong with this amp. I'm not saying he's a jerk or anything for that. It's just part of it. Part of the learning process. All right, guys, thanks. Rooster and 10, roostercb.com. See you, bye.